The third pillar of the foundational fem, this is boundaries. So why are boundaries so important? Boundaries are what keep us safe. Woman wants safety. The feminine wound is safety, meaning when we don't feel safe, nothing in our life really works. And then we try to get that safety from the people in our lives. On the other hand, the masculine wound is freedom. Men want freedom. And so I want you to just notice this inside of you, because you have both, of course, freedom and safety. Sometimes this can be a pull, but when the boundaries are set and you have an authentic, sustainable way to be safe, all those other issues just fall apart. So we're going to talk about boundaries today. There are 4 areas that boundaries affect our lives. There are spiritual boundaries, there are physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, and mental boundaries. And when you have these dialed down and you know your yeses and your nos clearly, you can create this safe place, the safe vessel to house all these other beautiful things you're unlocking in your life, and come from a really solid place, a place that you can build upon. And that is what the Foundational Femme is all about. So up until now, the boundaries that you've had have been keeping you safe. Even if they're not optimal, you set them up because somehow in your life, this was your safety mechanism. So there are 2 areas where boundaries are, where they're affected. Meaning, your boundaries are either too weak or they're too strong. And it doesn't matter where you are in the spectrum. I want you to just be in a place of honoring and respecting, and I want you to be gentle and compassionate on yourself, of just seeing and noticing where you are, and knowing that the reason where you are is because it was a safety. It kept you safe, okay? So boundaries is us in relation to other people. It's us in relation to the world around us and how that functions. And so it's the proximity that we allow people in our lives. So boundaries that are too rigid is when you keep people out. You have walls up, and your safety is you need to keep them away from you. So if your boundaries are too rigid, you usually say no way more than you say yes. You are usually harsh and protected and critical and judgmental, and you don't want people around you. Not that you don't want to be around people, but you don't want them close. Like, it is really, really scary for you to be intimate and open with people because it's not safe. Or you have boundaries that are too weak, which means you say yes more than you say no. And you say yes more than you want to, because you think that by giving and giving and giving and allowing and allowing and allowing, you're going to keep love in your life, and the only way that you can keep these people in your life is if you give more than you need to, and if you open too much. So boundaries are about being in this beautiful in-between space where you can be firm in your yeses and your nos, what's okay for you and what's not okay for you, and being flexible enough to be open to new things. So healthy boundaries are being firm but flexible. So establishing clear boundaries in your life is what defines yourself in relation to others. And to do this, you need to identify what is okay for you, what feels good, and where your limits are. And really, you need to do this in every aspect of your life. And I call it knowing your yeses and your nos. So I invite you to go within and to notice your relationships. Notice how things are and what is not okay for you. And when you say yes because you think you have to, because you think you're obligated to, when you really don't want to. When you do things that you don't want to, you create energy leaks. You also create resentment, anger, frustration, and all that other schmutz that we're trying to eliminate so you can come from a pure flowing place. So on this third pillar, there is, of course, another lie that you've been told your whole life that's been keeping you stuck. And the lie is that women are giving, okay? And that women need to give to receive love. And this is a lie. The feminine quality is receiving, and the masculine quality is giving. This doesn't mean that you just take all the time and you never give back, but it means the energy that you're in is a receptive, open, receiving energy. And it also means that you don't have to give all the time and do all the time to get love, which a lot of us as women do. I know that I was in this position. I thought that if the more I gave, the more love I would give. But what happened is that I gave so much of myself, I gave too much of myself, that I became this empty vessel. And I thought I was so loving and I was so giving. And one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror, and the harsh reality was that I was empty. I was an empty well, and I had nothing of substance to give anyone. Not my children, not the man I loved, not myself even. So we're going to get into the space where it just aligns with everything we've been talking about here, where we're focusing on you, and you're going to start giving to you by allowing yourself to receive. Okay? Receiving is feminine, and it's opening to that receiving. And all through this process, that's what we're doing and we're practicing. And the first thing you need to do is establish what your preferences are, what's okay for you and what's not okay for you. Know your yeses and your nos, and be okay with affirming these and letting the people around you know what's not okay for you and what is okay for you. So number one, again, is knowing where you are. And there's some indicators that can show you if your boundaries are being violated. Because again, this is all about awareness. You can't change something if you don't know where the breach is happening. So a really good indicator of knowing if you are breaching your boundaries is you start feeling resentment, you start feeling anger, and you start feeling frustrated with a situation or people in your life. So if you start feeling this way, I want you to check, body check, mental check, and to say, okay, where was the breach? With boundaries, it's something that we need to approach subtly. And this is another way that you can practice being in your feminine energy. Femininity is subtle, and it's flowing, and it's easeful. It's not harsh, it's not angry, and it's not, you have to do this right now, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Now, I can guarantee you that's gonna happen. If you're a woman who has allowed other people to infringe on your boundaries and your safe zone, a place that feels good to you, yes, you're probably going to lash out one day, and because you were so far on this side, you're probably gonna swing this way, and you're going to maybe lash out is what I'm saying. And that's okay, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can come at this in a very easeful way. And in fact, the best way for you to establish boundaries is when you do come at it from a very easeful way and a progressive way, meaning baby steps. So how do you create healthy boundaries? The number one question, the $1 million question. And how you do this is first, knowing your yeses and your nos. Second is, it all stems around self-esteem, believe it or not. So hopefully we've been working on this, and we've been tweaking this and adjusting. The only reason that your boundaries, there are breaches in boundaries, is because it's directly related to how you feel about yourself. Like I was saying, self-esteem and self-worth impacts every area of your life. So remember, this is a process, and this is step by step, and it's easeful. So the better you feel about yourself, the more you will notice that you deserve better, or that you don't deserve things, or that you want more in your life. So working on your self-esteem and knowing that this is connected, and the better you feel about yourself, the healthier your boundaries will be. You need to become a skilled and assertive communicator, meaning now that you know your yeses and your nos, it is imperative that you communicate this to the people around you. And again, this is something we want to do in a loving way. And the best way to communicate how you're feeling or a new situation is to just say it. When you start defending it, when you start explaining it and having to justify it, it just perpetuates the insecurity and the weakness. I want you to just be firm. I want you to just say, I don't want you to do that anymore. And just leave it at that. You don't have to explain. You don't have to do anything more than just say it. The fewer words you express what you want, the better. And this is a place that is sometimes uncomfortable for people. And I want you to expect this. Your boundaries and how you have worked up until now is something that you established when you were a child. It was established from your parents and from the household and the environment that you lived in. And remember, it kept you safe. Boundaries are about safety. So to go beyond those and to adjust those, I want you to expect to feel uncomfortable. Maybe you're going to even feel guilty. You're going to feel like you're a bad person. You're going to feel like things are out of place. And that's normal. It's because it's a new thing for you. And when safety is involved, it's really close to our hearts. And especially if you've been someone who has put up with a lot more than you needed to, this might be a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. So when you expect that and you feel uncomfortable, you know you are doing the right thing. Because once you move past that uncomfortableness, you move into empowerment, where you know that this is what you deserve. You know that this is where you want to be, and you feel comfortable and confident enough to let the people in the world around you know that this is your property line. When I say property line, I mean think of it as a fence around your property. If you don't know where the property line is, you can't put up a fence. And so that's getting to know where it is, where your yeses and your nos are. And once you have put up that property line, it's about maintaining it in an easeful way. I also want you to notice that and to be aware of that you can only take responsibility for how you feel. When you start asserting yourself in a healthy way and drawing new property lines around yourself and your property, the people around you might not like it, and they might get angry, and they might feel hurt, and they might experience a whole range of emotions. But it's up to you to stay grounded and centered in you, and to allow them to feel those feelings without feeling like you have to go and be in those feelings with them. You can only take responsibility for how you feel, and you need to detach yourself from how the other people feel. When you can do this, then you can feel empathy for them in a healthy way and not in an attached, clingy, codependent way. And that's what we're here for, is to create a sovereign being within yourself, a firm foundation in who you are as a woman. When you can be firm and sovereign in who you are, then you can better serve the people you love. And that's what this is all about. The third part of this video is talking about helpful tips and things that you can expect when setting new boundaries. Boundaries are such an important part of yourself, your life, and this foundation of who you are. And I want you to expect that this is going to be hard and uncomfortable. And also to expect that this is something that you need to do progressively and take it in baby steps. If you suddenly just come out and you say, this is how it's going to be, this, in all these different areas of your life to the people closest to you, sometimes they're going to be really defensive. You're going to ruffle some feathers. You're changing the energy dynamic and the energy play between people. And so it's really good to take baby steps, not only for the people around you, but for yourself. It is very, very, very important to only set a boundary that you are certain you can keep and that you can stick to. And you can put up an energetic wall and an energetic boundary, and they will feel it and they'll honor it and respect it. Other people either are not perceptive or they don't care. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but you're going to have to tell them. You're going to have to speak clearly and consistently and say, this is the new way that I would like it to be done. Usually you'll have another two scenarios. There'll be people who respect that, and then there'll be other people who say, okay, that's fine. And in the next moment, they will overstep the bound. So for boundaries to work, you need to be strong enough when you set it so that when that happens, you can say, no, that doesn't work for me. Please step back. Please don't come into my space. Now, I've experienced this firsthand where I was setting new boundaries and I set the boundary and the person said, okay, yeah, that's perfect. I respect you. And then slowly, he just went along with things, and then he came in again and breached those boundaries. And at first, I wasn't prepared for that, and I let him in again. And I wasn't firm in saying, no, this is how it is. And I realized that if I'm not strong enough to set it, I need to not set it, because then then he doesn't think you're your word, and that person will try even harder. It's important to speak your boundaries in a loving way, in a calm way, without anger. When you have anger and when your emotions are charged, it charges the people around you too. So when you can be in a really grounded place and you can be in a loving place, then you can say the same words you would have said in anger, and they're received so much better. It really doesn't matter the words you say in communicating. It matters the energy you say them in. So this is a gold nugget. That one little gold nugget I just told you is worth the entire price of this course. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter the words you say, but it matters the energy that you say them in. You can say the exact same thing and someone is going to get up in arms and explode. Or you can say the same thing, same words, but in a loving way that's understandable and has compassion, and the person's energy is going to be so much different. They're going to be understanding and going to know where you're coming from. Again, expect to be tested in this area. The people around you are accustomed to living the way they do and to having the property lines like they are. If your neighbor came and played football in your backyard every afternoon, and suddenly you put a fence up and say you can't come over, he's probably still going to try and come over because it's his habit. He's just so used to doing it. So expect to be tested, and don't take it personally. It's just something that's going to happen, and you just have to stand firm in who you are. This is strengthening you as a person, and it's giving you vital skills to move forward throughout your whole life. You just need to take this easy. This is a process and something that you can build upon. And as you feel comfortable and as you feel like you have enough strength to set a new boundary, then you set it. And the most important thing with setting boundaries is having a support system. This can be really, really hard sometimes. And you are in the Foundational Femme, and which means you have a beautiful support system of women around you. Again, you can call me, you can email me, or I would suggest you get on our community of women and you share your experiences, and that you read other people's experiences, because if you're going through something, someone else is too. And that is an imperative part of boundaries is having the support of people that love you and care for you and that want the best for you, because this can be hard. So your homework for the third pillar of the foundational femme is to know where you are. Where on the scale of boundaries are you? Are you too rigid? Are you too flexible? Establish where you are, and then from there we can move forward. Second is know your yeses and your nos. What is okay for you and what is not okay for you. Third is you're going to take manageable action steps, meaning, like we spoke about, as you feel confident and secure enough in who you are, you're going to establish new boundaries, and you're going to also engage in a support system and knowing that we are here to support you. And lastly, I want you to be in an energy of love. This is all about love. The more you connect to the love within yourself and divine love from above, and you can stream that through you and create this energy flow of love, everything around you will be easier and softer. Congratulations! You're at the end of the Foundational Femme, and we've gone through this beautiful process together, you and I walking on this path to uncover the most magnificent, beautiful, red-hot, sexy self, confident, radiant woman that you are. So this is the end of our time together right now, but it doesn't have to be the end. I want you to assess where you are right now. Are you in a perfect place? Are you ready to move on to the next level? Or do you need to go back and maybe work on the second pillar? Maybe work on the first pillar a little bit more. Either way, I want you to remain aware of where you are and where you're going. And it's really important right now to set goals for yourself and to see what the next step for you is. I mean, you are in this beautiful place right now, this place where you're uncovered this gem that is you. And this is the beginning, remember? This is just the foundation. So where are you going to go from here? What is the next step for you? We have been working intimately together, and I would love to continue this journey with you. I would love to sit down with you and see what is the next step for you. Where do you want to go? Do you need more assistance on your journey, or are you okay? So contact me and let me know where you are, and let's get together and see what's next for you. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful, magnificent journey, and fill out the completion form below. Let's see where we're going from here. Namaste.